The verdict had been unanimous. Across the spiraling arms of the Milky Way, representatives from 417 spacefaring civilizations had cast their votes in the Grand Conclave. The decision was clear, clinical, and mathematically justified. Earth must be sterilized. Humanity, the galaxy's youngest and most volatile species, posed an unacceptable risk to the established order. Verk stood in the observation deck of the Coalition dreadnought Eternal Judgment, his four-jointed fingers pressed against the transparent aluminum viewport. Below, Earth hung like a blue marble, oblivious to the sentence passed upon it. As the Volcari military attaché assigned to oversee the extermination protocol, Verk had witnessed dozens of planetary pacifications. This should have been routine. It wasn't. "The thermal lances are charging," announced Commander Stelvex, her crystalline carapace refracting the bridge lights into rainbow fractals. 90 seconds to ignition sequence. Verk's translator implant converted her clicks and harmonics into something his neural pathways could process. He'd worked with the insectoid Stelvex for 3 cycles now, respected her efficiency, but something gnawed at his certainty today. "Has there been any response from the surface?" he asked. "Negative. Standard radio frequencies show confusion panic. Nothing we haven't seen before." Stelvex's mandibles clicked in what Verk had learned was her species' equivalent of a shrug. "They don't even have basic shield technology. The surface installations will vaporize within." "Sir," a junior technician's voice cracked across the bridge. "Massive energy spike. Multiple signatures emerging from Earth's moon." Verk spun toward the tactical display, his breath caught. Ships, hundreds of them, appearing from what sensors now identified as camouflaged lunar facilities. But these weren't the primitive fusion drive vessels the Conclave's intelligence had documented. These were something else entirely. "Impossible," Stelvex whispered. "Those energy signatures, they're reading quantum displacement drives. Humanity doesn't have that technology. They shouldn't even understand the theoretical framework for another 1,000 years." On Earth's surface, in a reinforced bunker beneath the Atacama Desert, Elsa watched the same tactical display with considerably more satisfaction. Her finger hovered over a quantum-encrypted communications panel, silver hair pulled back in a tight bun that had become her signature look during the 72 hours since the Conclave's announcement. "Fleet status?" she asked, her voice carrying the crisp authority of someone who'd commanded impossible projects under impossible deadlines. "All ships deployed, Director Chen," reported her second-in-command, a young man whose exhaustion was evident in the tremor of his hands. "The Coalition fleet is scrambling. They weren't expecting resistance." "They weren't expecting us to have been listening," Elsa corrected. "How long have we been monitoring their communications, Jensen?" "Since the Voyager probes crossed into interstellar space, ma'am. 147 years of signals intelligence." Elsa allowed herself a thin smile. Humanity's greatest secret, they'd known about the galactic community for over a century. Known and decided to stay hidden, to learn, to prepare. The quantum Ansible chimed, a technology humanity had reverse-engineered from intercepted Conclave transmissions 30 years ago. Elsa activated it. "This is Director Elsa Chen of Earth's Consolidated Defense Initiative to Coalition Command. Stand down your weapons." Aboard the Eternal Judgment, Verk's eyes widened at the flawless use of trade standard, the linguistic protocol that had taken him years to master. The human woman on the screen looked utterly calm, as if she were negotiating a business contract rather than staring down a fleet designed to crack planets. "This is Attaché Verk of the Volcari Dominion. You cannot possibly—" "When?" Elsa interrupted. "Attaché, we've been running simulations of this exact scenario for 41 years. Your fleet composition, weapon loadouts, tactical doctrines, we know them intimately. We've known this day was coming since we decrypted the Conclave's charter and realized what happens to species deemed too aggressive." Stelvex's mandibles clacked in agitation. You're bluffing. Our intelligence indicates humanity barely achieved rudimentary fusion technology. You have nothing that can. The tactical display erupted with warnings. 37 coalition ships vanished from sensors simultaneously. Not destroyed, simply gone, displaced into quantum foam and scattered across light years by weaponized versions of the same displacement drives that powered the human fleet. Those were unmanned drone ships, Elsa said calmly. A demonstration. Your shields can't adapt to quantum state weapons because you've spent 3,000 years developing defenses against conventional energy attacks. We took a different approach. Verk felt his respiratory systems constrict. What do you want? To talk, Elsa replied. Something the Conclave decided we weren't worthy of. She transmitted a data package. Verk's implants processed it automatically, and what he saw made his blood run cold. Detailed analyses of 17 separate Conclave pacification operations over the past millennium. Species exterminated not for being dangerous, but for being different. For developing technologies that threatened the established hierarchy. For asking uncomfortable questions about why the Volcari, Stelvex's people, and the Quaresh dominated all major conclave committees despite representing less than 8% of member species. You've been monitoring us, Verk said slowly, for over a century. We learned from the best, Elsa confirmed. The Volcari are masters of surveillance. Your intelligence networks are remarkable, but you broadcast everything you collect back to your homeworld via quantum relays, and those relays can be tapped, given sufficient technological sophistication. This is impossible, Stelvex hissed. We are a Tier 3 civilization. You are barely Tier 1. By your metrics, Elsa agreed. But you see, we didn't develop technology along your established pathways. We couldn't, we were too far behind, and we knew it. So we innovated. We took risks your stagnant empires forgot how to take millennia ago. Quantum computing, neural interfaces, genetic optimization, artificial intelligence architectures that would make your ethicists scream. We pursued every avenue you deemed too dangerous or philosophically problematic. She leaned forward, and Verk saw something in her eyes that chilled him more than the destruction of those 37 ships. Absolute conviction. You decided we were too dangerous to live, Elsa continued. You were right to be afraid, but you were wrong about what we do with that danger. Then what do you want? Verk repeated, his voice barely a whisper. Reform, Elsa said simply. The Conclave was established as a democratic federation. Somewhere along the way, it became an empire with democratic aesthetics. Species are voted into extinction by committees they have no representation on, based on criteria that conveniently maintain existing power structures. She transmitted another file. Here are our terms. Full conclave membership for humanity, with all associated rights. An independent review of all pacification operations conducted in the past 1,000 years. Immediate suspension of the extermination vote pending that review. And criminal proceedings against any conclave officials who authorized genocide under false pretenses. Stelvex's carapace flushed an angry crimson. You dare. I dare because I can, Elsa interrupted. Because right now, Earth's defense fleet has your armada outgunned and outmaneuvered. Because we've distributed copies of our weapons technology to 17 other species the Conclave classified as concerning. And because if you proceed with this attack, we won't just defend ourselves. We'll dismantle the Conclave entirely and rebuild galactic civilization on more equitable foundations. Verk studied the human woman's face. No bluster, no anger, just the calm presentation of facts. She meant every word. You'd go to war with the entire galaxy, he asked. If necessary, Elsa confirmed. But we'd much prefer to join it. Humanity has a lot to offer, attaché Verk. Medical innovations that could extend Volcari lifespans by 40%. Agricultural techniques that would solve the Quaresh famine crisis. cultural exchanges that could enrich every member species. We want to be part of the galactic community, but we will be treated as equals, not exterminated for being inconvenient. Silence fell across the bridge of the eternal judgment. Verk looked at Stelvex, saw his own doubt reflected in her multifaceted eyes. They'd come here expecting a simple operation. Instead, they'd walked into a carefully prepared trap sprung by a species that shouldn't have been capable of such sophistication. "I need to consult with the Conclave Council," Verk said finally. "You have 6 hours," Elsa replied. "After that, we'll assume your answer is war and we'll act accordingly. But at HFY, I genuinely hope you choose peace. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us." The transmission ended. Verk stood motionless, staring at the blue planet below. Humanity had shocked everyone indeed, not with their violence or their technology alone, but with their restraint. They could have struck first, destroyed the coalition fleet before negotiations began. Instead, they demonstrated power while offering dialogue. It was, Verk realized with uncomfortable clarity, the most civilized response to attempted genocide he'd ever witnessed. "What do we do?" Stelvex asked quietly. Verk looked at his superior officer, then back at Earth. "We recommend acceptance, and then we hope the Conclave is wise enough to recognize when they've been beaten by better principles rather than better weapons." Far below in her bunker, Elsa allowed herself to breathe for the first time in hours. Verk seemed reasonable. There was hope. Humanity had survived by being underestimated. Now they would thrive by exceeding every expectation. The galaxy had decided Earth should die. Humanity's response had been simple: refuse and offer something better instead.